Welcome back on Dynamo. Today I want to propose you the analysis about the lores of the dead. That it's about the wizards that are in the battalion Legions of Nagash. The wizards that can take these spells can take both for the lore of the mages and the lores of the vampire. But you have to remember that you have the keywords death mages with the wizard. You can take only from the lore of the death mages. If you add the vampire keyword with the wizard keyword, you can only take from the lores of the vampires. But if you have a Death Lord keyword with the wizard keyword, you can choose which one take the spells that you want to use in your model. An interesting ability of these lores is Locus of Shaish, that say that if you are able to realize with the dice a casting roll of 9+ with wizard death models, then you can use the same enchantment, the same spell, twice on the same unit or on a different unit. And what you have to understand that it's not a different casting, it's the same casting. So it's really quite interesting realize such an option. Moreover, if you think that you have some possibility to make the range for the spells increased compared to the ones that normally will be the ones in description of the different spells. So it's becoming really an interesting locus to understand and to remember to utilize when you cast your spells using these lores, only these lores. And now we can start with the lore of the mages. The first spell that you can choose is Overwhelming Dread, that has a casting value of 5+, and let you, if successful cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 inch of the caster, but it has to visible to it. And until the next hero phase, your one, you can subtract 1 from its rules that are for that unit and subtract 1 for that unit's bravery characteristic. So it's quite interesting because it subtract 1 not only for the melee but for all the hit rolls. So either for the combat phase, either for the shooting phase. So it becomes quite interesting. And instead the characteristic brave penalty can be interesting if fought in the way that you can have a bonus added to the other malus that you can give you with the units to the opponent army. So it becomes quite interesting, even if you have to remember that the bravery characteristic one is useful either for the Banshee and Terrorghast ones, and also for the Battle Shock test that can be useful or not. It depends by the army that you are against, because a lot of armies are able to be immune to the test of the Battle Shock. The second spell of this lore is Fading Vigor, that let you, with a casting value of 6+, if successful, pick an enemy unit within 18 inch of the caster and that is visible to the caster itself, and until the start of your next hero phase, subtract 1 for the attack characteristic of that unit, all the attacks of that unit, but only melee weapon, to a minimum of 1, and roll only a single die when making charge rolls for it. So it becomes quite interesting, not only because the option of the subtracting of the attacks, but moreover for the charge roll, because it forbids some distance charge roll, because units that are more than 7 or more inch from the enemy are not able to be charged. So it becomes really interesting as a preserved usage of such casting. So it's really an interesting one, I suppose. The third enchantment for this lore is Spectral Grasp, that has a casting value of 6+ and let you pick a terrain feature within 18 inch of the cast that is visible to them. And it's quite interesting because it works until your next hero phase, but let you halve the characteristic rounding down of enemy units within 3 inch of any terrain features that are affected by this spell. So you don't cast it against enemy units, you cast it against Shanic elements. So you can, with this enchantment, also make suffer this effect on more than one unit. So it becomes really an interesting thing to apply in the way to halve the redeploying or the movement of your enemy. So it's really an interesting one. The first spell of this lore is Prison of Grief. That it's quite interesting because at the value of 7 plus, it lets you, if successful cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 inch from the caster and visible to the caster itself, and if that unit until your next zero phase tries to move, not mind the phase, on a 5 plus that unit may not move. And it's quite interesting because it means that it works if the opponent try to cast a spell or try to move with abilities and so on, but moreover it works as usual in the movement phase, in the charge phase, and also in the combat phase with the piling in, because there are movements. So it become really quite interesting one. Moreover, if you think that you have the Locks of Shaish as option, if you are able to realize a 9 plus on the dice, you can cast twice on that enemy, so you have the option of being able to have a decreasing of their option, because you'd apply a 5 plus twice to prevent that unit. So it's quite an interesting one, if not fact such a usage of the Locus of Shaish. It's really interesting, even if not so good as options, but because you can apply multiple times in the same turn, it's really an interesting thing. And the fifth spell of this lore is Decapify, that lets you choose with a casting value of 6 if successful, an enemy hero, only hero, that is within 8 inch from the caster and visible to it, and until next hero phase, subtract 1 to the wound rolls from this model, and 1 to the damage characteristic of the melee weapons of that model to a minimum of 1. The problem is that related only to hero models, but it's also true that usually heroes are the most important models of the enemy, of an army. So you can really take note about this enchantment in the case you want to decrease the options for the enemy. The sixth spell of this lore is Soul Harvest, that lets you, with a casting value of 7 plus, take each enemy unit within 3 inch of the caster and make it suffer D3 mortal wounds, and then for each mortal wound allocated, you can, on a 5 plus, heal 1 wound of the caster itself. So it's quite interesting one about a caster that it's in the middle of the close combat, because being within 3 inch, it means that otherwise you can only think about using such a spell with the Allegiance, Legion of Sacrament, and the General with the Bound of the Master, because in that case that model will be able to use the ability, the command ability, to increase of 6 inch the range of the casting. So in that case it will be interesting because this will become a 9 inch, so with a big model you'll be able to damage a lot of different units because it will become a 9 inch range, and moreover it will be easier to heal the mage itself. So it becomes in that way quite an interesting one to take note about this spell. Otherwise it's not so good to think about, even if with the Locus of Shaish, if you are able to realize that option, you will be able to do 2 different mortal wounds. So in that case it will become quite interesting, but it will be limited to the Locus. Anyway, it's an interesting spell. Talking about the lore of the damages at the end, the spells are really great and they are quite good to take note, but you have also to remember which one are the models that can take these spells, and the only one at the end is the necromancers. Otherwise, the other ones that can choose this lore are the Death Lords, and the Death Lords are almost all the Mortax and Nagash. So you have to remember such a problem. The only other option that you can have is using the analysys Legion of Sacrament, cause Dark Acolyte let you choose one of these lore if the model has not the keyword that it's death mage that it can yet take or vampire. So in that case it can become quite useful to take these ones, because you can choose also, for example, models like a White King, for example. Then that model can take this lore of the damages as lore and so choose the spell from this. So in that case it will be an exception. Anyway, it's quite an interesting lore to choose about. From Dynamod, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.